In this video, we're analyzing bellwethers, but because I don't want to go into the older elections tab, we're only going to be looking at older perfect bellwethers, I mean. So these are bellwethers that have been perfect and how long they've managed to hold up. Right now, our longest bellwethers are Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. They voted correctly in every election since 2008. 2008, they all vote blue. 2012, they all vote blue. 2016, they all vote red. 2020, they all vote blue. 2024, they've all voted red. The states have taken slight rightward shifts because, as you can see, in 2012, especially Wisconsin and Michigan and even Pennsylvania were much more blue than the nation at large, and same thing in 2008. But what makes it so that they can't have a long bellwether streak is that in 2004, as you can see, Bush won the election. All three states vote Democratic, which ruins their streak. Now, ever since 1960, we've actually had a bellwether state in Ohio. Ohio voted correctly in 1964, which wasn't hard to do, but they got it right in 1968, 1972, 1976, which was a close election that Ohio only barely voted for the winner for. 1980, 84, 1988, 1992, 1996, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012, and 2016, before in 2020, the streak snapped as Ohio actually voted significantly for Trump. Now, there were signs that Ohio was a bit more of a right-leaning swing state, especially later on. As you go back into the map, you can see how in 1992, for example, Clinton only won Ohio by 1.8%. And as you can see from this, Clinton won the popular vote by 5.5% in this election. So Ohio was significantly to the right of the nation at large. Even in 1996, Clinton only wins by 6.4%. As Clinton wins a popular vote by 8.5% overall. So Ohio is still to the left of the nation at large. 2004, Ohio was a deciding state. It actually was a deciding state, but like in 2000, for example, it was to the right of Florida, which really decided the whole country. 2008, in Obama landslide, it's still to the left. 2012, it's still to the right. In 2016, Trump wins the state by 8.1% when he barely won nationwide. So it was apparent that that Ohio is a right-leaning swing state. Now, in 2020, we had two other bellwether streaks get snapped. Iowa was another one. It voted for Trump by a lot in 2020. Trump won the state in 2016. It was much to the right of the nation at large, which is funny because Ohio was actually a bit to the left of the nation at large in 2012, as Obama won it by 5.8, and he wins it by 9.5 in 2008. 2004, Bush wins the state, but in 2000, Iowa goes to Al Gore. So as you can see there, Iowa only had a bellwether streak of 4 elections, which is less than the current 5 that Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania have. It's actually interesting, too, because Iowa was actually a significant blue state. For a while, it was actually the second bluest state in the country in 1988. And it was even left-leaning in Reagan's national landslide of 1984. Whereas before then, you look at it, and it's like it was a significant right-leaning state before the mid-1980s. So Iowa has had many different political transformations over time. Florida was the other state that was snapped. Trump actually only won the state by 3.4, so it was the weakest of the states back then. He won the state by 1.2 in 2016, so it was still looking like a bellwether. And 2012, Obama wins it. 2008, Obama wins it. 2004, it goes to Bush. 2000, it goes to Bush in a very controversial election that the state obviously decided the whole election. 1986, it goes to Clinton. By 1992, Bush wins the state. So its bellwether streak was 6 elections. 6 elections of it being a bellwether. And again, Florida was known as a bellwether since 1928. Since 1928, they only got the election wrong 3 times. Ohio was a bellwether since like 1900, and since then they only got it wrong 3 times. Nevada since 1912 it was a bellwether, only getting it wrong twice. But we're looking more for perfection. Missouri was actually a long-term bellwether. Now, they got it wrong in 56, so I'm not going to show that. But in 1960, it's reflected in a close win for John F. Kennedy. 64, Johnson wins the state in a landslide. 68, it goes red. 1972, it goes red. 1976, it goes back to the blue column. 1980, it's red. 1984, it's red. 1988, it's red, although it's weaker than the nation at large, at least. 1992, Clinton wins the state. 1996, Clinton wins the state, but the margin of victory is reduced in 1996, which is foreshadowing, as Missouri would vote for Bush in 2004 by quite a bit. But it was still a bit shocking how in 2008, McCain won the state. Even amidst Obama's landslide, Missouri's bellwether streak has snapped, and since then, Missouri has moved significantly to the right and now consistently votes for Republican candidates by over 15 points. So that was an interesting bellwether that I thought I'd bring up. There aren't really too many other bellwethers that I could think of that were significant in the 21st century. Delaware might have been one until Gore won the state by 13 in 2000 because it voted for Clinton and it voted for Clinton again, so he won the state twice. Before that, George H.W. Bush won the state in 1988. Reagan obviously won the state in 84. 1980, the state does vote for Reagan still. 1976, it goes for Carter. 1972, it goes for Bush. 1968, it goes for Nixon. 1964, it goes for Johnson. And 1960, it goes for Kennedy. As a matter of fact, going into the old elections tab, Eisenhower wins it in both of his elections here. And in 1948, Dewey voted for Dewey. So from 1952 to 1986, so that's a lot of elections. That's like 12 elections in a row. Delaware got it right. But that was snapped in 2000. And that's how bellwether streaks usually end. Usually a state moves politically significantly in one direction. Thus, when that party finally loses, their loss of a bellwether state is exposed.